Hello, hello, hello everybody, and welcome along to the 21st and final round of the AOR Hype Energy F3 League Season 18. I am Jacob Hancox, and I am finally back here in the commentary box alongside Julio Massa, who has been holding down the fort for me. Hello, Julio.
Hello, good evening everyone, and it's nice to have you back here.
Indeed it is. So, today, for the final race of the season, as I'm sure you're all aware, we will be going to the Marina circuit in Abu Dhabi. The championship is already sewn up after the race last time out in Brazil, which we weren't able to broadcast for you, unfortunately. Camille Common did become the champion of the F3 League in that race, and it's well deserved for him. But it's one final showcase for the drivers here today to show what they can do before going on to Season 19. And just to recap the results from that race in Brazil last time out, Andinata took the win there for Williams, Kislyak was second, and Schultes was the Red Bull on the podium this time out rather than Camille. But Camille was able to clinch the championship nevertheless. So I believe we are into the qualifying now, so I'll just take you over there as soon as I can. Here we go. Right, so looks nice and dry as you would expect, considering we are in a desert. We have 10 drivers here today, so a slightly shortened field, but hopefully enough drivers and plenty of strong drivers here in the field to make sure we'll have some good racing.
Yes, exactly, and I just noticed a great new feature in this game, which is nice that
I've noticed it as well.
Yeah, we have the beginning of February and we have a great new feature. We have a track map available to the commentators, which is basically awesome. We can see that someone has an invalidated lap time. We can see that where are the yellow flags when they are shown. We can now see that in sector 3 we have a yellow flag, and that's because someone is slowing down. So it's a great help for us. But coming back to more important things for us, coming back to this race, only 10 people unfortunately, but we have got used to it for a few races now, unfortunately. But it doesn't mean that we will have a bad race. No. It may as well be a great race because 10 drivers who are very close to each other may still make a great race for us.
Absolutely, and Camille Common is one of those drivers who I'm sure will be serving up the entertainment here today. He is the new champion, of course, of AOR F3, and hello to everyone in chat, by the way. I will be checking chat throughout the stream, so if you have any questions to ask, I will be able to field them, so feel free to do so. Camille has started his very first qualifying lap of his very final qualifying session of Season 18, and he's about halfway through it now as he heads into a major braking zone here, into the left-hander. I believe that's turn 8 through turn 9. He goes and gets the car very unsettled there, actually, over the curb. He took a lot of curb on the inside, and over that sausage curb, that orange curb on the inside, it really can unsettle the car and threw it into oversteer. He handled it pretty well, though. Gets pretty deep into turn 11, though, so it's not the cleanest lap I've ever seen from the Polish driver in the Red Bull, but I don't think he particularly needs to worry about being ultra clean now at this final race of the season.
Yeah, I mean, he's just going to have some fun today, and well, we'll see how it goes for him. But you know, he has the championship. He now can now sit back and relax, and maybe try to win the race from the back of the field. Who knows?
And in fact, he invalidated his lap right towards the end of it there, so we're not going to see him come across the line. He has dove straight back into the pits to get rid of that one set of soft tyres. He is now thoroughly worn out after putting them through a significant heat cycle there. Jezza is top of the standings at the moment. Only 2 drivers have set lap times. It is Jezza in the Renault who set a 1:36.0 on the soft tyres, and Flash 224 in the Ferrari, a long way off of that, but of course he is on the hard compound tyre, so we wouldn't expect him to be anywhere near the sort of lap times that some of the drivers would be able to set on those soft tyres. Looks like Kruzix might be the car behind him. He is in the Williams, so let's stick on board with him for the remainder of his lap as Richie B goes and puts himself a second faster of Jezza, or all but a second, I should say. So great lap there from the Toro Rosso driver. That's a good start to the qualifying session for him, and Kruzix all over the curbs, all over the shop here well off the road, and in fact he has invalidated his lap time as well. This new minimap feature is excellent. I love being able to tell that sort of thing.
Yes, exactly, because some time ago you could have said that, well, someone may have invalidated their lap time and it was just judging by their time, by their ERS setup. Now we can straight away tell if someone has an invalidated lap time. Funny thing about Drusix, he didn't lose the championship on track. He just didn't come to Brazil, unfortunately for him, and that's why he lost the championship to Camille Coleman, because he was 28 points behind him heading to Brazil, and knowing that he wouldn't score any points, it was obvious that even if Camille doesn't score any points, he would still be 28 points behind him coming to Abu Dhabi, and with 26 points to take here, he was outside the championship fight. But now looks like he still has an invalidated lap time, unfortunately, so he will come back to the pit lane, I think. We're still waiting for some drivers, mainly Kislyak, who is a sort of new Russian hero, as we are referring to him. So let's see if he will do something spectacular. He took podium in Brazil, which is a great result for him, but he was showing great pace in Mexico and the US as well. So maybe he will try to finish the season on a high note.
Indeed, we'll probably catch the second half of his qualifying lap. That's another great thing about this minimap, is you can plan who you want to show in the qualifying sessions. I'm absolutely loving this. I'm on board with Andinator in the moment as he's chucking it through Sector 1. The race winner last time out, and he's the fastest through Sector 1 so far this qualifying session. Sets it purple. Now down the first of the two long straights here. He'll open up the DRS. Got plenty of time to think about the braking zone for turn 8, and it's a very important braking zone and a very difficult one as well. Hard on the brakes he goes, and he's just got it a bit too deep there. Locks up a little bit with the left front tyre, but he's just managed to get it turned in nicely despite that fact. So it's looking okay for Andinator so far. As he gets towards the end of this straight, we'll have his second sector time. We'll be able to see where he is relative to the other drivers. That's another purple sector for the German in the Williams. So good stuff from him so far. He'll be looking to finish up the lap strongly here. And this is where so many of the drivers have been invalidating their laps through Sector 3. Will Andinator be able to keep it on the road and do one better than what they were able to do? Bit of a cut on the inside there, but it hasn't been invalidated, so that's good news for him. Another big cut there, and there's a sausage curb on the inside, so that will probably have hindered his lap time just a little bit. But through the final couple of corners now, only one corner left to go. He keeps it nicely on the road, not troubling the curbs too much, and across the line, and he's another second faster than Richie B was able to go, so great lap time there from Andinator.
It's a great lap time. We are still waiting for a few drivers to change their tires. We didn't say what compounds are available today, and it's pretty easy. The three softest compounds in the season, so C3, C4, and C5 compounds are available. C3 is obviously the white banded car tire. C4 is the yellow medium tire, of course, and C5 is the red soft tire, just to remind you. Meanwhile, Flash is finishing another lap, but it's a slow one. Maybe he is trying to cover some distance, get some data, and try to get a lap time later on in the session. I'm just trying to find someone else, and we have Kislyak up into P2. 6/10 of the pace set by Andinator, but still it was a decent lap that put him provisionally in the first row.
Indeed it was. Oh, major moment for Hooper there, as he's already invalidated his lap time, unfortunately. He's just looking to get back to the pits as quick as he possibly can, and he's bumping off the walls doing so. Very reckless driving from the McLaren driver, but he's kept all the wheels on his wagon, and that's all that's important to him at the moment. Camille looks like he's pushing on this lap. He's already invalidated one lap on this same set of tyres, so he's got to make sure that this one counts, otherwise those tyres are going to be getting very second-hand indeed. Into Sector 3 he goes. I'm not sure that he's been setting the lap charts alight so far this lap. We'll have to wait and see whether he can make that time up through the final sector of the lap while remaining on the road at all times with at least one of his four wheels. That is the critical thing you have to do to avoid invalidations to your lap time. Runs a little bit wide on the exit there, but that won't cost him through the second to last corner. Just about manages to keep it on the road, but it's a pretty messy final sector for Camille as he comes across the line, but it doesn't matter. He goes fastest with a 1:33.7. That's a 10th and a half up on Andinator. Good lap time from the Red Bull driver, and he's showing why he is the champion of F3 here. He was under pressure to set a lap time, but he did it no problem.
Yes, exactly, and he still has some room for improvement. For example, in the penultimate corner, as he was basically exiting it sideways. But as you were saying that he didn't set the charts alive or whatever. Anyways, you can see on the minimap that someone sets a purple lap time. Basically, the lap charts goes purple. So that's good to know. Meanwhile, Camille has come the corner, come the chicane. I'm looking to find someone who might not have an invalidated lap time, might be on a push lap. And
JSR is currently, yeah.
And no, Crucix hasn't. It's very easy to invalidate a lap time on this circuit, of course, when you have walls quite some way of the track edges, and of course without the gravel traps. It's only as easy as in Russia and in... Oh, that was a weird one.
Yeah, he just ran a little bit too wide on the entry to turn 11. It's very tempting to do because there's a sort of escape road on the outside there, and it's just so... There's a tiny little curve, and that's all that's stopping you from going out there. And usually you'd want to use as much of that as you possibly can, and that's what JSR was tempted to do there. But it's bitten him here as he's invalidated yet another lap, and with only 5 minutes and 50 seconds remaining in the session, he needs to start thinking about going into the pits as quickly as he possibly can and just getting a banker lap in at least, because at the moment he is one of 4 drivers yet to set a lap time. Hooper is another one. He's currently in Sector 1 in his McLaren, braking hard for the first major braking event of the lap, and he just about gets it slowed down for the chicane there. Into the hairpin now, turn 7. Turns it in nicely, doesn't trouble the apex, but that's okay.
Yes, meanwhile it's Iceman just behind him, following him, although he is on a medium set of tires, of course, thanks to having only 10 drivers. He can qualify it well inside the top 10 using those medium tires, as will try Jezza and Flash, and maybe Camille as well. Meanwhile, let's see what will be the second sector time set by Hooper and the Iceman. I'm looking for Crucix, but he is just trying to catch the pit lane. Meanwhile, Hooper has set the fastest second sector time, at least according to what the track map has shown me. Let's see how it will turn out.
Indeed, yeah, he just has Sector 3 to go. Looking good so far on this lap is the McLaren driver, looking to challenge the top 2. Camille Common and Andinator a bit of a step above the rest of the field at the moment as things stand. But will Hooper be looking to change the status quo here in the McLaren? Very neat and tidy through the final part of the lap here. Doesn't trouble the apex of the final corner, though. That could have lost him a little bit of time, and actually he's lost a whole bucket load of time. That must have all been in Sector 1 before we jumped on board with him, because he got a purple final sector as well. But Andinator, meanwhile, he's gone fastest, just a little bit ahead of Camille Common. Just a tiny little bit in the Williams, but just enough.
That's 31 thousandths of a second only, but it's counting. It's important to just be ahead.
Oh!
Maybe 1,000ths ahead, but now it's Camille Common who is in the wall.
Yeah, Camille was cutting the corners on his outlap there to try and get through with the outlap as quick as he possibly could, taking some lines that you're not meant to take and just removing certain corners from the track entirely, and he completely misjudged the left-hander there as he was cutting it and just ran wide on the exit and straight into the wall. I was on board for that, unfortunately for him, because that is definitely an embarrassing moment for our new champion.
Probably one of the most embarrassing moments, and maybe even the most embarrassing moment in the season for him. But yeah, it's a tricky corner, turn 19. But it's tricky when you're pushing, because it's very understeery and then oversteery on the exit.
Yeah.
The tire barrier is very, very close to the track edge,
Hooper.
and now Hooper goes into the same tire barrier as well. I was saying that it's a tricky corner, and now we have 2 crashes, maybe in a span of 30 seconds, maybe even less. But yeah, in the race, it might be a very, very tricky place. But what Camille did was weird, to say the least.
Indeed, yeah, he just really was trying to hustle that car around, trying to get as many laps in the remainder of the session on those medium tyres. He'd have been looking to set a couple of hot laps on those tyres, and if he wanted to do that, he needed to get round his outlap as quick as he possibly could, but that was definitely not the way to do it. So just like that, Hooper and Camille Common, 2 drivers who you'd have to say would have been in contention for pole here. Hooper, of course, he flubbed his first sector on his current fastest lap, but his sectors 2 and 3 were both purple, so he had the pace in that McLaren to challenge for pole potentially if he could just sort out his first sector, but now he will not have that ability. Meanwhile, Kruzik's currently sitting at the bottom of the standings, having yet to set a lap time, only out here on the medium tyres rather than a set of soft tyres, so I wouldn't expect to see him challenging Andinator, his teammate, for the pole position, but we'll see what he is able to do nevertheless on these medium tyres. He's still currently on his outlap, so let's jump to a car who's on his flying lap. Here's Kislyak. I'm sure plenty of you guys in chat will want to see this as he's going through Sector 1 at the moment, and it's a purple Sector 1 from the Renault driver. Can he be the one to take it away from Andinator? Andinator's on an outlap here, but he might actually not even have enough time to get all the way around. We'll have to wait and see whether the Williams driver will be able to set one final lap in this session.
He is trying to cut as many corners as possible. Of course, thankfully for him, there is a lot of room to cut a corner, so maybe he will be able to make up some time. But he is redefining the track basically. Let's now see what will Kislyak do. What will be his time, and he has improved by 0.2 of a second, but still, that is too little if you ask me. But maybe he has a great final sector, and you can see Andinator just behind him, so Andinator will make it to the finish, will have the possibility to start another flying lap. But will Kislyak be able to overtake Camille Common? Will he be able to overtake Andinator? Will he be able to become the Russian hero once again, and will he be able to at least be in the front row? Yellow flag sector 1 and 3, but that doesn't matter. And meanwhile, Kislyak improves, but only just.
It was a very significant improvement, actually. It was almost half a second he was able to go faster, but it wasn't enough to move him up any positions. Moves him comfortably ahead of Richie B for the moment. Let's see what the Toro Rosso driver is able to do, because he might be the final driver out there who's looking to snatch pole away. We haven't seen JSR's pace yet. He has been invalidating lap times all over the show. Richie B is up a tiny bit on his previous lap time, but that's a purple sector 2 for him in the Toro Rosso. There goes Kruzik's up into 4th on those medium tyres. Wasn't going to be able to challenge for pole on those tyres, but that is a solid lap time nevertheless from our vice champion as things stand at the moment. I do believe, in fact, Andinator may well have taken that away from him in the standings. I'm not entirely sure, but nevertheless, here comes Richie B into the final couple of corners. Can he keep it on the island? Yes, he can. Very neat and tidy through the penultimate corner. And now the final one. Neat and tidy once again. Across the line he goes. And it is an improvement, but it's not enough to move him ahead of either Kruzik's or Kislyak. And that might be almost it for this qualifying session. Andinator's still out there, setting another lap for himself. JSR is setting a lap. Jezza might well be setting a lap up ahead as well. Let's see what the Renault driver is able to do as he comes across the line. He improves, but only just moves himself up ahead of Hooper. JSR now up towards the line, and it's only good enough for 6th for him. So it looks like it's definitely gonna be Andinator on pole here, but he's looking to set one faster lap here just to style on the rest of the field. That extra little bit more as he gets it very sideways through the final corner, but he does improve. Great stuff from Andinator.
That was a great lap on the edge, basically. Going sideways everywhere, basically. Everywhere, but he made it. He took pole position. Yeah, that's a great qualifying for him. 1/10 of a second ahead of Camille Common, who didn't have the chance to improve, who crashed out of this session. Kislyak in P3. That's a great result for the Russian. It's another result that shows that he belongs to the top of the grid here. Cruisix in P4, a little bit disappointing, but he will start on the medium compound of tires, and that's a great advantage for him before the race. Richie B in P5, a little bit disappointing, but JSR in P6 again. That's a quite nice result for him.
Yeah, I think he'll be happy with that, or at least kind of happy with that, considering how many laps he invalidated. The fact that he was able to get a decent lap time on the board is probably pretty good news for him after the way that session was going. But as you said, just going to run them down once again. It's Andinator on pole position. The race winner last time out. What can he do from pole here? The final race of the season here in Abu Dhabi. Camille come on, the champion, in second. In that Red Bull, he'll be starting alongside him on the front row. Kislyak, a fan favourite, on the second row of the grid in third, alongside Cruisix, who will be the first of the drivers on the medium tyres. Richie B and JSR, 5th and 6th. Flash 224, also with a good time on the medium tyres. Jezza in 8th, Hooper 9th, and Iceman rounds out the grid in 10th position. Also will be starting on those medium tyres, though. So we'll have to watch out for him, for Flash, and particularly for Cruisix as we get deeper into the race and the strategies start to play out. Oh, and there's Grezju joining. Not quite in time, I'm afraid, for him, but would have been nice to have him a little bit earlier.
Yes, exactly, and maybe, I mean, not maybe, but I believe that we will see a two-stop race, especially from the drivers starting on soft tires. It's quite tough to pull a one-stopper starting on softs. Oh, and we have someone joining us, but will he join us for the race? I'm just trying to count because I've seen that a message popping up that Grzesio is joining us, but I still see 10 nicknames on the screen.
Yeah, so I don't think Grezju will be able to actually participate in the race, and I think he's actually left the session as well, so that's a shame. That's not actually the first time I think that Grezju has arrived late for the race and has joined the session about half an hour late. I think I remember that happening once before, and I'm pretty sure he didn't get to race that time either, so a shame for him.
Yeah.
Would have been nice to have at least one extra driver in the field today, but nevertheless it's looking pretty competitive for the drivers we have, and a nice mix of strategies up and down the field with Cruisix on the medium tyres. On the Contra strategy as high up as 4th will make for a fascinating race, I'm sure.
Exactly, and we're just seconds away, well, not seconds, but maybe minutes away. 1.5 minutes out. Let's be honest. To be more specific. But yeah, going through the corners. This is the final formation lap in the season 18, which is, I don't know, which is a little bit sentimental.
Yeah, it's been a nice season. I've really enjoyed it. Plenty of really good races this season. I think for me, the German Grand Prix, which was the first race I commentated with the F3 guys. It was the first time that the new field was here, and it was a real ding-dong battle between Camille Common and Bolash Kevin, of course, when he was racing in this split for the Racing Point guys, and they were really battling out all race, and it was Bolash Kevin that actually came away with the race win on that day, but it was a really fun race to watch, that one. Spa was also great. They were battling as well before Bolash Kevin got it all wrong in the wet, I seem to recall. A couple of really good races, though, this season, and I have very much enjoyed it.
I remember Singapore being a great one, and a great race for Camille Common as well, where he won. Well, he was going to win by 30 seconds or something, but he decided to pit again and set the fastest lap of the race.
Yes, that was a very impressive and ballsy move from him. The sort of thing that champions do, and as it happens, there you go.
Yeah, but yeah, that was a unusual season, mainly because of the changing field, but it was still entertaining, and hopefully the next season will be as entertaining as this one, and maybe even more. But now we are setting the grid again, reforming it, as the game is telling us.
Indeed. And Donator was quite a way ahead of the rest of the snake of cars behind him, so if this was real life, he'd be having some pretty significant overheating problems in that car by this point, and he'd be desperately hoping that the drivers lined up quickly behind him so his engine didn't blow before the race start. Doesn't have to worry about that, of course, in the F1 2019 game. And he will be okay. So let's see who has the best angle for the start here. as the 5 lights are on for the final time of the season, and they are underway here in Abu Dhabi. And it looks like an excellent start for Andinator, no problem for him. Kislyak looking to try and get alongside into turn 1, gets a tag from behind from Kruzix though, and Richie B manages to go all the way around the outside of the Williams driver, battling it, just about hanging onto it on the road there is Richie B in the Toro Rosso. Good stuff from him. JSR looking to try and take another position away from the slow starting Kruzix on those medium tyres. He'll have just had a little bit more, less bite on those tyres off of the start line. You can see how much it's hurting him at the moment as we've got drivers trying to challenge him all over the place. But meanwhile, Richie B's had a very compromised run through turn 7, the hairpin there, and it looks like Kruzix is trying to take the position back. Once again, he says that's my 4th position, and he's going to try and take it around the outside of turn 8. It'll be very impressive if he was able to do that, and Kislyak's almost in the way for him there, but Richie B doesn't manage to brave it out, and Kruzix does take the position away for the time being.
Almost touched like Grosjean and Hulkenberg in 2018, but it didn't result in a car flipping. But we will still see if Richie B can take over this 4th position, but he can take over this position, and it looks like it's more or less clean throughout the field. Looks like Cooper has lost a few positions and Iceman has overtaken him. But let's go back to the front, because Richie B and Kruzix, it's the best fight in the entire field, and they still have Kislyak not too far away from them. Half a second ahead of them, and already a sign is gone, but that's okay, that's normal. And looks like Richie B has lost a few tenths of a second going through the 3rd sector. He is just ahead of JSR now.
Yeah, and he ran very, very wide through the final corner as well. So Richie B really feeling the pressure at the moment in that Toro Rosso. JSR running off the road through turn 1 a little bit, but you can get away with that, I think, without losing too much time. Richie B really is a bit all over the road at the moment, so he needs to calm it down in that Toro Rosso if he wants to stay ahead of JSR and has any hopes. Oh, yeah, that's Hooper that's gone round in the back there. You can see it on the minimap, the yellow flag there, and Hooper seems to have just lost it through the fast opening chicane to the lap. So unfortunate start to the race for the McLaren driver. He's got a bit of a mountain to climb if he wants to come anywhere better than 10th.
Meanwhile, looks like Kruzix is now trying to go and catch Kislyak in P3. Kislyak is already 1.2 seconds behind Kamil Komoy. Kamil Komoy is just, well, not just, but 8 tenths behind Andinator, and Kruzix will try to maybe even overtake Kislyak as quickly as possible. Meanwhile, behind him, Flash and Jezza looks like they are the closest pair on the track, and JSR is just ahead of them, and Richie B is just ahead of them. So we have a nice train fighting for at least P5, but maybe it will even fight for who knows, maybe for P3.
Indeed, yeah, a couple of significant gaps forming.
Is out of the race.
Yeah, it is Hooper who is out of the race. I don't think he'd have got it in the wall there.
And
I think.
Car.
Oh yes, safety car. There you go. That's a. Oh, and they straight into the pits goes Camille. Come on, Kislyak, Kruzix, Richie B, JSR, all into the pits. Every single one of them. It's a bit of a gentleman's agreement here between these guys. But unfortunately, Andinator was not in on the agreement, and nor was Flash as he goes rocketing up the field into 2nd place. Of course, he started on those medium tyres, so this might well be the right decision for the Ferrari driver. He's gained so much from this. Iceman doing the exact same as well. But Andinator on those red-walled soft tyres will be feeling a bit less chipper about the state of play at the moment, having seen almost the entire field dive into the pits at the end of lap 2 when the safety car came out. Of course, the safety car incidence rate has been increased significantly over the last patch, so it's not that surprising to see a safety car here in Abu Dhabi on the current patch, but the drivers responding to it instantly there, and all pretty much doing the same thing unless they were running on the medium tyres. And even Kruzix, who had that advantage of being able to start on the medium tyres from 4th position, he also elected to go into the pits, which is an interesting decision from him, and I'm not sure it's one I would have made.
And Jezza has chosen soft tyres, but coming back to the new safety car, right? I think that some drivers started to complain about this safety car coming out too often now, but I think it's just a case of complaining just in order to complain, really. Because I remember we were complaining a lot the safety car didn't come out at all. Now we're complaining it is just coming out. But I remember one race, just two days ago actually, where in 50% race we had 4 VSCs and 1 safety car. So that was quite a lot. And let's see. And that was in Germany, to be fair. Maybe it's Germany that has, that has some sort of
yeah, maybe they upped it after the race, the real life race. But here comes Andinator into the pits 1 lap later than the rest of the field. I wonder if he'd already passed the pit entry whenever the safety car was called. Where will he shuffle out? It's going to actually be pretty close here on the pit exit as Jezza manages to pick himself a 3-second time penalty while behind the safety car. That's not very good news for the Renault driver, but actually for Andinator that hasn't worked out as badly as it could have done. He's just behind Camille Common, so he's only really lost that 1 place if you discount Flash and Iceman, neither of whom went into the pits. But all of a sudden it's the guys that started in 8th and 10th on the grid who are 1st and 2nd in the race at the moment.
Yes, but it's still the one crucial position, and Camille Common will be quite a tough man to overtake. But now of course we have to wait for the safety car restart. Probably still 1 lap at least will be driven behind it, and let's see how it will turn out on the restart.
Yeah, I don't want to go too hard on this, but I gotta say it is very, very impressive by Jezza to manage to pick up a 3-second time penalty when the safety car is in play. That's some special driving from the second of the Renault drivers, currently down in 9th and last position, and as you mentioned, the only driver to elect to go onto another set of the soft tyres when he went into the pits as a result of the safety car coming out. And there is the race control message. Safety car will be in this lap, so you can see all the drivers now tight up behind Flash, and he's leading the field around. I bet that's not something he thought he would be doing going into this race, but in the Ferrari there he is at the front with Iceman just behind, almost bumping into the back of him there as he slows up the field, waiting for the safety car to get to the pit lane.
Exactly, so the safety car is coming in very quickly, so maybe that's the case. That's one part of the update. It's coming quicker, but more often. Maybe that's how it was done. But now you can see they are eager to go, but Flash is still waiting, still trying to find this great timing to try and restart the race, and he is now gone. Iceman, of course, has gone behind, and that's also a case of Camille Common. What did Iceman do?
Oh, and there's a Renault off in the background as well. Iceman lit up the rears at the exit of the final corner there. Camille Common and Andinator have both gone past. Kislyak as well. Jezza ended up in the wall. Bad news for him on those soft tyres. Kruzix gets past Iceman as well, and he's lost all kinds of positions after it looked so good for him after the safety car.
Meanwhile, Richie B is trying to overtake Iceman after he had a a big moment actually coming out of turn 21, but let's see if Richie B can take this P6 from Iceman. Iceman had a better exit out of turn 7, and that's why he is still in P6, but Richie B has JSR behind him. They are fighting actually for P6 now, and Richie B will have the inside coming into turn 8. It's a lot later than we told us, so maybe he will try to stick it around the outside, Richie B, and he's still in the fight with Iceman. They are going side by side, and JSR has joined the party. They are going 3 wide into turn 11, and let's see who will win this fight, and it's Richie B in P6, JSR in P7, and Iceman has lost 2 positions in one straight, basically. 3 seconds time penalty as well, so that's a triple loss.
Yeah, that is one hell of a demoralizing lap for the Macedonian driver Iceman in that Alfa Romeo. He was second at the start of the lap, and by the end of the first corner he was 5th, and by the end of the first lap after the safety car came in, he's back down to 8th again, which is pretty much where he was before he gained that advantage by not going into the pits when the rest of the drivers did. Meanwhile, Flash 224 has been able to maintain his advantage in that Ferrari at the moment, but you can see the snake of cars behind him. They're all so much faster than the Ferrari driver at the moment. They just can't quite get past. He's defending his first position well. Camille Common close up behind him. It doesn't go for the move. Flash under pressure, locks up, goes deep on the brakes. Camille can set him up for a move here through turn 7. He runs very deep into the hairpin indeed, trying to maximize his exit, and actually gets a bit together with Andernator on the exit of the corner. But here down the straight now, it looks like Camille Common will be up the inside of Flash into the braking zone for turn 8. Will he be able to make it stick on the brakes? He's ahead of the Ferrari driver now, but Flash brakes so much later. Great stuff from the Ferrari to fight back there, and look at what he's able to do. Andernator being a nuisance on the inside of Camille Common as well now, but Flash didn't have the traction on the exit of turn 9. He's going to lose the position to Camille Common, and here comes Andernator through the middle as well. What will Flash be able to do on the outside? Nothing, as Camille Common and Andernator bang wheels through turn 11, but it is Andernator in the Williams who suddenly finds himself up in P1 once again. He lost out to Camille Common in the pit stops behind the safety car when he wasn't able to come into the pits on the same lap as the rest of the drivers, but now he's back up into first position, and Kruzix mercilessly passes Flash, and he's somehow passed Kislyak on the last lap as well. So great driving from the second of the Williams as well, and his Andernator from Camille Common from Kruzix.
And looks like Iceman is still having a lot of trouble. Got a 5-second time penalty for cutting the track again. Meanwhile, as we were talking, that was a great fight for this. Not even P1, it was a fight for the podium because Kislyak was still there. I thought for a moment that he was going to overtake Andernator to take that maybe even virtual P2, but it didn't happen. He was overtaken by Kruzix. He's still behind Flash, and he is now trying to defend from Richie B, although he's still also trying to overtake Flash, and they touch with Richie B, and JSR is there as well. We have top 7 covered by, well, 3-4 seconds maybe, which is great, which is just great. Now the DRS is open, and let's see if Kislyak can try and then finally overtake. Flash gets so much more speed coming into turn 8, and that's a formality, but he was, oh no!
Richie B just too hot. Yeah, no, he just got too hot on the brakes there. You can see Richie B slowing down to let Kislyak back through. That's his way of apologizing to the Russian driver in the Renault, and Richie B 100% at fault for that one there, and it's really tragic to see because there was so much great racing going on until that moment. Flash, meanwhile, has been able to retain his 4th position as a result of that. Andernator leading the way, Camille Common in 2nd. They're dropping Kruzix in 3rd now. 1.2 seconds it is between the second of the Williams and the back of the Red Bull, who is currently in 2nd position, the champion Camille Common. And then a significant gap back down to Flash 224 after the battling that's been going on throughout the rest of the field. It's what you'd expect as Kruzix picks up a 3-second time penalty as well, so it's not good news for him at the moment. And Camille setting the fastest lap of the race on those medium tyres, a 1:38.5, and he's reeling in Andernator bit by bit here, though Andernator does have 1 lap more freshness on those tyres, although that is a lap behind the safety car, so it hardly makes a difference as Richie B and Iceman are fighting here. Looks like Richie B is getting the upper hand in that battle for now.
Meanwhile, Camille Common just 4 tenths behind Andernator. Yellow flag somewhere, and that's Kislyak. Out, and that's, it's gone from bad to worse for him. Now let's go back to the top because Camille Common, half a second behind Andernator. He won't overtake Andernator into turn 8, but he will be just behind and going through turn 8 and 9 chicane. He will get the DRS, and maybe he will try to close down on Andernator and maybe overtake into turn 11. It looks like Andernator has so much better traction on the exit than the Red Bull driver. That's why he is pulling away on the straights, and that's why Camille Common, even though he has a better speed on the towards the end of the straight, he can't even get close enough to overtake Andernator, which is quite impressive from the Williams driver.
Yeah, well, that's less impressive from Andernator there as he locks up, gets very deep into the end of the triple right-hander there, but he's managed to hold on to the car, no problems for him. But this has allowed Kruzix to get closer back to Andernator and Camille Common once again. He's looking to re-enter the fray here in the Williams car, but Andernator leading the way still from Camille Common. Camille actually took a big chunk of curb in turn 9 on the previous lap, which is when he should have been setting up Andinator for the move, and that really harmed his exit onto the second of the DRS straights, and that's why he wasn't able to get anywhere near the back of the Williams towards the end of that straight and wasn't able to think about making a move on that lap. He needs to avoid making that same mistake on this lap if he wants to try and get past Andinator as quick as possible. Lap 9 of 28 at the moment, and here is Camille Common with seemingly a much better opportunity behind Andinator now. You're just going to see him absolutely reel in the Williams driver here. Look at the difference the DRS makes, and he's already passed him into the braking zone. Nothing Andinator can do about that. Kruzix staying in behind, not getting into the back of his teammate there, not spinning him round. That's critical that he wasn't interfering too much, and these guys are really dropping the rest of the field. 7.2 seconds now separates Kruzix in third and JSR in fourth. Andinator jinking to the inside at the end of the DRS straight into turn 11 there, just reminding Camille Common that the race isn't over yet, and he still has to think about the Williams in his rear view mirror.
It's not even one Williams, it's two Williams, so he will have to, well, he will have to choose, they will have to choose which one will be the next one to attack Camille Common. They still have an upper hand in terms of a team fight against Camille Common. There are two Williams drivers, which is great for them. Meanwhile, Camille gets a first time penalty of this race. I'm not sure if Andinator or Kruzix got one.
Kruzix has one, I don't think Andinator does.
So that makes sense, but it's still lap 10 out of 28. That's still a long, long way to go, actually, which may still mean a lot. Meanwhile, Flash is coming to the pit lane. That's only after 9 full laps of medium tires, plus his laps in qualifying. He takes softs, and he will come back to the pit lane. Well, yeah, that's what he chose. Well,
yeah.
So someone being close on the straight, but apart from the Williams drivers being close to each other, well, they are still just behind Camille Common. This is the only fight. Well, there will be a fight between the Renault drivers, but Jezza is really defensive against Kissler.
Oh no, Camille's gone round. Sorry to cut you off there. Camille has gone round in turn 8. I think he must have received a tap from behind from Andinator. I didn't see any contact between them, but it might have been that Andinator's nose just got too close to the back of the Polish Red Bull driver. Andinator presses on though, and Kruzix really deep into the braking zone there, almost completely rear ends his teammate, but Andinator evidently doesn't feel that he did anything wrong, as he decides that he's not going to wait for Camille Common and instead presses on out at the front at the moment. Maybe Camille just lost it under traction on the exit of turn 8, but that's a strange place to lose it if that was the case.
Yeah, that was a strange place as well, but if one of the Williamses did that, maybe it's just their tactics against when fighting against Camille Common. Who knows? No, just joking, of course. Kruzix gets a 3-second penalty, so that's his second one, I believe.
Indeed.
But yeah, that changes this race a lot. We will see if Camille has enough pace to catch back the Williams drivers ahead of him. Looks like Andinator has better pace than Kruzix, but only just a bit. This bit is enough. Meanwhile, a yellow flag in sector 3, and that was Iceman, who didn't. Well, he just missed his entry.
He just about managed to make it into the pits in the end, banged a couple of the walls on the way into the pits, but I don't think he damaged his front wing. Good news for him is he's
somehow didn't damage his front wing, but he went. I don't know how to say, because he went wide, and we have a spinning Ferrari. Wow. A lot of spins today. But coming back to what Iceman did, he went too wide on the pit entry. He almost hit the barrier that is in the middle of the barrier that's I've lost the word. That's dividing the normal track and the pit entry. He had to reverse and then get into the pit lane.
Right, okay, a bit of a 3-point turn then.
Yeah, some sort of it, yeah.
But okay.
He didn't end up like Raghunathan in the practice sessions where he did like 95-point turns, something like that. And his boss had to show him how to use the steering wheel properly. But yeah. Coming back to the race, looks like Cruisix has a bit better pace, at least had a bit better pace on the last lap, and Camille Conway has lost some time again. The question is how much time they will stay out of those tires and when they will pit, because I think they will all have to pit again. No, I don't think. I know that they will.
Yes.
They will have to do it.
Indeed. All of them apart from Iceman, who is on those hard tyres, and I think he'll probably be trying to get to the end of the race, unless I'm very much mistaken, on those tyres. So I'm surprised Flash didn't just try and stay one more lap on those medium tyres and then pit in for the hards, but evidently he's decided that he wants to do a proper two-stop strategy, having not pitted under the safety car, and pressing on with the medium to soft, assumedly again to medium, to finish out the race once he's pitted off of these soft tyres. We'll have to wait and see what the Ferrari driver exactly has in mind, but that spin, of course, one lap ago going onto the grass, will not have helped his chances of making his strategy work. Cruisix much closer to the back of Andernator all of a sudden now, and he's looking to pile the pressure on to his teammate, but the big difference at the moment between these two drivers is the fact that Andernator has 0 seconds worth of time penalties while Cruisix has 6. So that's something that either Andernator is going to have to start picking up the penalties, or Cruisix needs to get past his teammate as quick as possible if he's got any hope of winning this race.
Exactly. We're just... It's a bit of a more boring moment in this race, because we are now waiting for the strategy to come into play, but Richie B is looking to maybe change that for us. It's just behind JSR, still outside his DRS window, but who knows, maybe he will be able to close down on the Mercedes driver and fight with him for the P4.
Yeah, he has been closing pretty significantly on JSR over the last lap and a bit, because he was actually 2.5 seconds behind him not that long ago as Jezza heads into the pits, getting rid of his set of soft tyres that he strangely elected to strap on at the end, or no, rather at the end of the second lap, whenever the safety car came out. Of course, we weren't really able to see what he was able to do with those, because he immediately speared off into the wall when trying to start at racing speed once again with those cold soft tyres after the safety car came in. We saw him spearing off in the background. But here is Cruisix now really close behind Andernator once again into Sector 3. Not close enough where it counts at the moment though, and Andernator looks comfortable through Sector 2, which is where the vast majority of overtakes at the Yas Marina circuit happen. So Cruisix is probably going to have to get a little bit inventive or try and sort out his Sector 2s if he wants to make it past his teammate anytime soon.
I'm sorry for just... I don't know what happened there. Of course, I was just... Yeah. You didn't hear that. Basically.
Okay.
But yeah, just a dual bilingual stream for you. But yeah, coming back to English. Coming back. That was the first time I did that. That was the first time I've done that, so I'm a little bit embarrassed now. But yeah, coming back to what's going on the track, let's forget about it. Cruisix is closer to Andernator. I don't know if they are going to switch the places, but maybe it's Andernator who will have a better chance at getting P2 in the standings. That may be their strategy for this race, but it looks like Cruisix is closer to them. Meanwhile, I've lost Richie B fighting with JSR, and that's what I should have focused on, because Richie B has done what I was thinking he would do. He has overtaken JSR, and coming back to the Williams driver, they're fighting.
And Cruisix has made it past around the outside of turn 11, makes it stick into the chicane thereafter and moves himself up into first position. He really needs to break the toe from Andernator now, get himself outside of DRS range of his teammate, and then start building the gap as quickly as he possibly can. Richie B's overtake on JSR seemed like it was a bit of a wave by, to be honest. JSR, nothing he could do about it on the main straight, as Richie B was well past him before they even got into the braking zone. But it's not looking too good for Cruisix at the moment, because he has not dropped Andernator one bit through the final sector of that lap.
exactly, and Camille Conway has got closer to them, not by much, but if the Williams drivers start to fight a little bit more, he might close up to them even more. Meanwhile, it looks like, yeah, Richie B has a better pace than JSR, not by much, but I think JSR won't have any chance to
Ooh, JSR!
Oh, yeah.
He's gone round, he just took too much speed through the right hand and maybe a bit too much curb as well, and the Mercedes goes around. Thankfully for him, a lot of other cars have been round this race, so he actually holds on to his 5th position, doesn't lose a single spot from that one. Meanwhile, back up towards the front is Andinator right behind Kruzix, and he just couldn't calculate for his overspeed there, and lost a lot of time in the braking zone as he got well too hot on the brakes, and this could be the moment for Kruzix to break away now. He's already 1 second, 1.1 seconds ahead of Andinator. He's managed to break the DRS as a result of that mistake from the second of the 2 Williams cars now, and Kruzix needs to capitalize on this if he's got any hope of winning this race. Andinator with a poor start to the 3rd sector as well as he runs a little bit wide through the left-hander. What can he do through the triple right-hander? He needs to just get his mojo back and concentrate once again. Bit of a lock-up on the inside right, but that's okay for him. Hasn't lost too much time through that one, but this is bringing Camille Common back into play as well, as he's only 1.6 seconds now behind Andinator, and he'll be looking and seeing that Williams getting closer and closer to him, and it's just going to give him that little extra bit of belief here, and maybe that little extra bit of power just to kick on, but he gets it very wrong through the final corner, but just about hangs on to it.
Yeah, it looks like Andinator is struggling for traction here. And Camille Common is catching him. Of course, now Richie B into the pit lane after 13 laps on, well, 12 full laps on the mediums. So that is just close to their cliff. Maybe that's why we are seeing the Williams drivers having, especially Andinator, having so much problems on those mediums for the past 1.5 laps. JSR as well has come into the pit lane for a new set of mediums. But yeah, that may be one of the reasons why we have seen so many spins today, because I don't remember seeing any race on this track where we've had so many spins. I just don't remember it. So it might be that the drivers are pushing a lot. They are overheating their tires, especially the rears, and that's why the rears are going away, especially in the 1st sector, and meanwhile Andinator gets a time penalty, which may change the dynamic of the race even more. But yeah, it's a bit strange for me. But from what I know is that we are, especially the top 3 drivers are now close to the cliff on their mediums. That's why they may have so many problems. Meanwhile, Richie B gets another time penalty, but it looks like the top 3 opted to stay out.
Interesting. Very interesting. If I'm Camille Common there, I'm diving into the pits and trying to get a bit of an undercut on Andinator and Kruzix, because their tyres are going to be really second-hand at this point, and Camille's not really making that much of an impression into the lead that Andinator has over him there, and you can see him struggling on those medium tyres as we're on board with him through the 1st sector here. He's already 4/10 down on his best 1st sector time, so he could be going so much faster if he just came into the pits at the end of that last lap, and we know he'd be able to make it to the end of the race with another set of medium tyres. So I really don't understand the decision not to jump into the pits unless they're all trying to string it out and make soft tyres last to the end of the race. But I'm not sure that's the fastest way to go. Regardless, Kislyak, he's headed into the pits as well in the Renault with another set of medium tyres for him. He'll come out well behind JSR, of course, but he should be, yes, he will be well ahead of Iceman and his teammate Jezza. So no one for him to worry about as he comes back out onto the track in P7.
Yes, if they don't spin out on their own, then maybe going a little bit longer in order to take on a soft comparative tire towards the end of the race would be a faster strategy, but only just. Of course, it makes an attack a little bit more possible because you will have a great advantage in terms of speed, but he will lose a lot of time right now.
He stays out again.
So maybe yes. So maybe they are going for the soft tires. And I don't see any different reason to that. Now Camille Common is 1.5 seconds behind Undernator, and he seems to have a little bit less problems, but he still is drifting a little bit through the corners, but not as much as Undernator. And it's funny because Undernator was the last one of them to come into the pit lane, and he seems to have the most problems right now.
Thought we had a bit of a fight brewing there, down in 5th and 6th, but Flash heads into the pits as JSR was just getting that close, just close enough to think about making a move behind him. The Ferrari driver says no thank you and heads into the pits to strap on a set of medium tyres that will take him to the end of the race. So a bit of a shame there that means that JSR can now push on and try and make an imprint on that 14-second lead that Richie B has over him. Good luck with that one, JSR. I don't think he'll be having many hopes there unless, of course, Richie B makes one of the many mistakes that we've been seeing throughout this race. It's pretty much been Kruzik's, Andernator and Camille Common as the only drivers who haven't made some sort of really major error. And we have seen Camille around at one point as well. And Iceman retires from the session. That's in Sector 1 there, so that could have been an actual crash for the... And it's a safety car once again, so the gaps, there are many gaps throughout the field, but Iceman's retirement has meant that there's another safety car coming out here, and that 25-second gap between Richie B and Camille Common is going to come down completely, but of course this means that Kruzik's, Andernator and Camille will all head into the pits, but no, Andernator stays out. He didn't want to queue behind his teammate. I think that might well be the right call, because he'll be able to push on this lap. I don't think... Or will the safety car pick him up on this lap? That's the big if here. If he gets stuck behind the safety car here, and you're saying it will, looks like it is going to, yeah. So he is going to be stuck behind the safety car. This is a disaster for Andernator.
Yes, exactly, because he will come back from the pit lane in P8 basically after the safety car picks him up. So he will have, even if he chooses soft tires, he will have a great disadvantage compared to the top two, compared to Kruzik's and Camille Common, because he will have to fight his way through the field. And if he decides to stay out, then he would be the most vulnerable driver since I don't know when, because it's like... It would be like staying out on 3 wheels.
Yeah, indeed it would.
It would have the same effect, basically.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, with the first safety car period, the way the safety car came out meant that Andernator was able to do another pretty much, not full pace lap, but nearly full pace lap on the set of tyres. And that meant that when he did come into the pits a lap later than the rest of the field, it didn't really harm him that much. He lost 1 position to Camille Common, but that was it. And maybe he thought that was what was going to happen again, and maybe that's why he stayed out here and decided he didn't want to queue in the pits behind his teammate. But now that he can see his teammate immediately behind him in his mirrors, he will not be thinking that that was the right decision at all. So really, big mistake here from Andernator, and just as I was saying that the front three hadn't made any major mistakes, it's a different sort of mistake, but it's a mistake nonetheless for Andernator.
Yes, and he will come back, and I have to change my view on that. He will come back in P6, although looks like Richie B is coming into the pit lane and Andernator as well. So that's 2 drivers into the pits. JSR and Kisliak are staying out, yes. So Andernator will be 5th when he comes back onto the track, because Jezza and Flash are way too far behind to think about overtaking both Andernator and Richie B. That means that Andernator will have to overtake only Kisliak and JSR, and they are on way slower tires. We will have a very interesting safety car restart nonetheless.
Yeah, Richie B really rolling the dice there to give up track position on JSR and Kisliak, and what would have been track position on Andernator as well if he hadn't headed into the pit. So 3 positions he's forfeited to go onto that fresh set of soft tyres for the last 8 laps of the race. Will it be the right decision for the Toro Rosso driver? We'll have to wait and see. But this has brought JSR and Kislyak into play for the final slot on the podium. It'll be very impressive if they're able to keep Andonator, who had pretty much race-winning pace today, behind them on fresher and softer tyres. But I've seen stranger things happen. We'll have to wait and see. Richie B as well will be looking to get past Kislyak and JSR as quick as he possibly can, and he'll be thinking that a podium may well be on the cards for him as well if he can just stick behind Andonator, keep well within his wake, and make sure that whenever Andonator's pushing cars out of the way to get past them, the Richie B slips up the inside and takes advantage as well.
The question is, when will the safety car come into the pit lane? Because it hasn't still picked up the whole field. Jezza and Flash are still like 15 seconds behind Richie B. They are closing down on them, of course, but they are still way, way too far behind. And looks like safety car is staying out for another lap, because it would have turned off its lights by this point of the lap, by this moment of the lap. So it will come into the pit lane at the end of lap 21 at earliest, and that will leave us with 7 laps of racing. So yeah, that would leave us with 7 laps of racing, and I believe that you can still make those soft tires, you can still destroy them.
Yeah, it's not an easy thing to get these soft tyres to the end from this point in good condition. They are going to still see some pace drop off right at the end of this race, I think, because the soft tyres really don't last well around this circuit, and it's a very long lap around here as well, with a lot of stop-start traction zones, so the rear tyres really do start to struggle. Just looking down the field, most of them have... in fact, all of them have time penalties of some description. Kruzix is up to 9 seconds of time penalty, whereas Camille and JSR behind him each only have 3 seconds of time penalties to their name, and I think the same is true of Andonator. So Kruzix's 9 seconds really could well come back to haunt him towards the end of this race here, and just when it seemed like it was going well for him, and he was building that all-important lead at the front to his teammate and Camille Common behind, the safety car came out after Iceman, we didn't actually see it, but I assume it was a crash towards the end of Sector 1 after the fast chicane, and it's just really potentially ruined Kruzix's race here as JSR and Kislyak passing each other and repassing each other behind the safety car. Safety car will, of course, be in this lap, no surprises there.
Yes, and Iceman tells us that he is stupid. I wouldn't say he is stupid, but that's what he said. And he apologizes for the safety car, so basically looks like he is the reason. I mean, we know he is the reason why the safety car came out, but we don't know what happened there, if it was just behind because he decided to retire, or if he actually crashed out. We won't know. But what we know right now is that we are just ahead of the restart, just before the restart, and of course Kruzix will try to find the best possible time to try and go away, and looks like he has found it. No, he didn't. He will come out of the final corner now, and we are back underway. We still have a lot of yellow flags, but we are back underway, and let's see what will Andonator do. Can he overtake Kislyak as soon as possible? Can he come back to P3 as quickly as possible?
Here comes Kislyak, very close behind JSR at the moment. Not close enough to think about a move into turn 4, though. And actually, there is Andonator alongside him already, trying to make his way past. Richie B losing positions off the restart. He's lost out to Jezza in the second Renault at the moment. He gets pushed wide by the Renault in the background there as Andonator moves himself up into 4th position. Good restart here from the Williams driver, and he'll be looking to reel in JSR as quickly as he possibly can. Looks like Jezza has had problems down the straight. He's lost out his positions. Kislyak trying to battle with Andernator once again there into the hairpin, but Andernator stays ahead for the time being. It's not over yet though, as Kislyak around the outside once again for turn 11. Just about keeps his nose in there. JSR still staying ahead of Andernator, who braked so late for the corner there and was able to hold on to the position. Looks like Richie B might have had a problem as he's found his way shuffled down to the back of the field. Jezza all of a sudden back up to 6th, but I think he picked up one of his umpteen penalties of the race so far there. I think he's picked up 2 already since the restart. Andernator, oh wow, look at that, aggressive up the inside of JSR. He can see Kruzix and Kamil Komon getting away at the speed of light up at the front at the moment. 3.5 seconds already between themselves and JSR, and he knows that he needs to pass the British driver in the Mercedes as quickly as he possibly can, or his race will be ruined.
Yes, exactly, and this third sector is a very, very challenging place to overtake anyone, even if you have a great tire advantage as Andernator has right now. Still no DRS for him, so that is a little bit of a disadvantage, but it's a great overtaking into turn 5, but still way, way too far behind to overtake JSR. Maybe into turn 7, he tries to find a gap, he tries to go for it, he goes for it, and he is ahead of JSR, but now let's see if JSR or maybe Kislyak will have something to say about it. Will try to retake this P3, but I don't see that coming. Meanwhile, Kislyak will try to take P4 from JSR, but he doesn't really make it stick. No way, he doesn't make it stick, and it's JSR, not JSR, it's Jezza just behind Kislyak, who is just behind Jezza. Meanwhile, he's just behind JSR, of course. Kislyak is trying to overtake JSR around the outside into turn 11. Can he make it stick? Yes, he can make it stick. Meanwhile, Flash has overtaken Jezza, but now Jezza tries to retain the P6 into turn 14, and he has made it stick as well. And Richie B will try to maybe have something to say about it, and yes, he takes P7.
Every time a driver makes a move on another driver, whoever had the move made on them, whoever's offline, finds himself being shuffled down the order as drivers try and snap at their heels, take advantage wherever they can. They're scavengers, these drivers at the moment, for the bottom end of the points. Meanwhile, Kruzix and Kamil Komon have elevated themselves above the melee. They are 5 seconds away from Andernator in 3rd position, and he's got a bit of a mountain to climb if he wants to challenge Kamil Komon for the race win. Kruzix, of course, with those 9 seconds worth of penalties, is unlikely to take the win here. Kamil Komon is, as things stand, going to be the final race winner of the season, and that, of course, would only be appropriate considering he is our champion. JSR really close behind Kislyak at the moment. Those guys have held on well considering the age of their medium tyres compared to the fresh soft tyres that everyone else had on the restart, so that's really good stuff from them to be able to hold on to 4th and 5th. They can be proud of their positions remaining so far, and Richie B making it past Jezza as well into the hairpin. And as I was saying earlier, whenever a driver gets put out of position by someone overtaking them, they find themselves shuffled down the order, and it is the case once again as Flash makes his way past the Renault driver once more.
And almost, Jezza almost went into the back of Flash, but it didn't happen. I felt it was maybe a bit of a lag between them because no parts were flying, thankfully. But as you've said, everyone, I mean, the positions are changing constantly. That's basically what we will say about it, especially in the bottom 5. In the bottom 5, yes. But Kislyak has built a crucial gap over JSR. 1.1 seconds between them, and JSR will now have to defend from the trio of drivers on a new set, on new sets of soft tires. Those new sets of soft tires will make them, of course, quicker than JSR. But will they make use of them? Will they overtake the Mercedes driver, or will JSR be a great defender? Will he defend his 5th position? Time will tell, of course. Only 4 laps to go.
And they've only got about one more lap of advantage, I think, on these soft tyres before it gets to the point where the mediums start being the better tyres to be on, despite the fact they're a couple of laps older. But Richie B knows that, and as such, he is trying to make his way past JSR as quickly as he possibly can. It's another wave by as the Toro Rosso once again comfortably ahead of the Mercedes into the braking zone. That's deja vu from an earlier race, it almost seems like. A time well in the past by now. Richie B up into 5th this time. It was 4th last time. He'll probably be ruining his decision to go into the pits when Andinator did as well, and to strap on that set of soft tyres, because it really did not go well for the Toro Rosso driver off the restart. He could have been battling for 3rd or at least 4th at the moment. It looks like he's going to have a chance of challenging for 4th once again. 1.7 seconds separates him from that 4th position, which Kislyak currently occupies in the Renault. We'll have to wait and see whether Richie B can close that gap down, but it looks like it's just about getting to the point now where the soft tyres are no longer any better than those medium tyres. Meanwhile, up at the front, Kruzik's 1.2 seconds to Kamil Komon. That's critical. Kamil Komon, the Polish driver, not within DRS range of the race leader, but it's all a bit of a moot point because Kruzik's is up to 12 seconds of time penalties now, and I'm pretty sure Kamil still is only on 3.
Yes, indeed, and the question is, how much time will Kruzik lose because of those penalties? Right now, he is 10.5 seconds ahead of Kislyak. Why am I comparing their times, his time to Kislyak? Because Kislyak seems to not have any penalties in this race. I know that he may have no penalties because he didn't have any penalties in previous races. He is a very, very clean driver, and he may take a podium after the penalties are applied, but let's still wait. Still 2.5 laps to go.
2.5 laps to go indeed. Flash still close behind JSR at the moment, and I don't think Iceman needs to apologise for bringing out the safety car, to be honest, because I've been pretty happy to see it. It really did spice up the race once again. Andinator won't be too happy about it, I'm sure, but the rest of the field, they'll probably be pretty happy about it for the most part. I don't think it's really disadvantaged anyone else other than Andinator, especially badly. JSR and Richie B have found themselves losing out a little bit to it, but Kislyak's done well off of it. Andinator with another 3-second time penalty for him. He's up to 6 seconds as well, so he's got no chance now of taking the position away from Kamil Komon on penalties over the line, because he actually has more penalties than Kamil at this stage of the race, and he's actually putting his ability to move past Kruzik's into jeopardy as well, because actually Kruzik's has 12 seconds, Andinator has 6. There's 6, in fact there's more like 8 seconds between them at the moment. So Kruzik's actually has about a 2-second buffer to his teammate, so he's looking solid for 2nd position, I think, when this race comes to its conclusion. Kislyak only 3 seconds behind Andinator. I believe the Renault driver has 3 seconds of time penalties rather than 0, but nevertheless, that is critical. If he can just get it below that 3-second mark, he will be on the podium for the 2nd race in a row.
Indeed, but still 1.5 laps to go to make it official. Where is Kruzik's and Kamil Komon? They are coming through into sector 3, so they will still have more than 5.5 kilometers. Looks like around 7 kilometers till the end of this race, until the end of the season 18. Yes, it's the end of the season in maybe 24 corners from now, 23 corners. So we are coming to start the final lap of the race. Turn 20 and turn 21 for Kruzik's, and we have started the final lap of the season 18. Wow. Where has that time gone?
Absolutely, it really has flown by, and I wish I could have been here for every single race of the F3 season from the very start, of course, where the field was very different and we were jumbling around the commentators as well. But since I became a regular of this league, I very much enjoyed it, and it was a shame I had to take the time off over the break, but of course Julio stood in for me admirably, and the broadcasts were as good, if not better, than they usually are. So Kruzik's leading the way around the final lap of the season here and he's just building his gap to Camille Common, and it is a shame that he has those penalties hanging over his head, because otherwise this would have been a very good performance from the driver who started in 4th position on those medium tyres. It seems like an age ago that he had that tyre advantage on the rest of the field. It never really came to be because he elected to pit just like almost the entirety of the rest of the field when that first safety car came out after only a couple of laps, when Hooper ended up in the wall or retiring from the session just off to the side of the track. We didn't actually get to see his car, but nevertheless that safety car really changed the state of play, and as did the second safety car that came out for Iceman as well. Both of them triggered a whole series of pit stops around here, and particularly at this circuit with tyre wear as critical as it is here. That was, of course, an opportunity the drivers could not refuse. But heading through to the final corner of Season 18, it is Kruzix heading up to the line now. Here come the fireworks, and across the line he goes in the Williams. But here's Camille Common, who emphatically crosses the line sideways. He is your champion, and he is your final race winner of the season. Andonator in 3rd, couldn't usurp his teammate. Kislyak not close enough to the back of the Williams. He will only be able to take 4th from this race. It's Richie B 5th, JSR 6th. Flash doing donuts. He's not electing to go across the line. He's got plenty of time before Jezza, who actually ends up doing some involuntary donuts of his own, I believe. I don't think that one was quite as intentional as the ones Flash is doing up ahead, but Flash has plenty of time to get across the line before Jezza catches up to him, but I'm not sure he's terribly interested in that, as he's the one doing the donuts. He's not got a whole lot to celebrate, to be honest. I don't think his season has really been worthy of all these donuts, but nevertheless, we can let him have his fun.
Maybe he has some fun because the season has ended. A bad season maybe for him, and he wants the next season to be better. Jezza doing some more donuts, because why not?
He's celebrating, hold on, let me check. He's celebrating 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Celebrating 15 seconds of time penalties there in the Renault as he heads across the finish line, finishes 8th and last of the remaining drivers in this race. 2 DNFs from our 10-driver field today, but it was Camille Common who came out on top, as he so often does in the Red Bull. The young Polish driver there, and the Williams drivers flanking him on the podium. You can see his broken car in Parc Ferme there as he holds the trophy. Look at that beautiful sight that is. But I feel like it's a pretty common thing this season to see a Red Bull driver on the podium flanked by the 2 Williams drivers. The Polish flag at the top step of the podium with the 2 German flags alongside him. It's been pretty much the epitome of this season, but there he is at the top step of the podium where he deserves to be.
Yes, indeed, and it was a fun season, as we've said before, and it was a fun race to finish it. Maybe thanks to those 2 safety cars, but who cares? It was a fun race. It was a fun season, and we want more, don't we?
Absolutely we do. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to bring you guys the results screen from the very final race. Here is my screen. It's just showing blackness. Oh, never mind. As soon as I tab out, seems like that might have solved itself. There you go. You can see everyone's time penalties. In fact, I was doing a disservice to Jezza. He wasn't celebrating 15 seconds of time penalties. He was celebrating 18 seconds of time penalties. 3 of those picked up behind the safety car. Excellent performance by the Renault driver here today. I am, of course, just joking. He's a far better driver than I will ever be. So congratulations to him on what has been a pretty good season overall. And congratulations to us for having made it through the season as well. Thank you for being with me, Julio. And thank you for standing in when I couldn't be here as well.
It was a pleasure for me, and thank you for having me tonight and for a few more races. And hopefully we'll come back to you next season, of course. Stay tuned, because there will be our social media that will tell you more about the next season, when it will start. Of course, we all know that it will happen, unless, I don't know, an asteroid strikes the Earth and everything's done. But if those disasters don't happen, the season 19 will happen. And every single piece of information will be on our social media. And yeah, I think that's everything I should have said. Yeah?
I think so, yeah. So, yeah,
and
absolutely.
thank you to our sponsors, of course.
Yes, thank you very much, particularly to Hype Energy, of course, the main sponsor of our F1 leagues here at Apex Online Racing. And thank you guys very much for watching. There would be no AOR, certainly no AOR streams without you guys watching and following along as your league racing friends and league racing idols, perhaps, maybe in some cases with Kislyak. I don't know about that one, but nevertheless, watching their fortunes as they wax and wane. Thank you very, very much for following along for the whole season. I'm going to sign off now. So, from me, from Jacob Hancox, myself, and from Julio Massa as well, I presume, it is goodbye for today and goodbye for the season. But absolutely stay tuned to wait to see what Season 19 has in store.
Thank you, and good night.